Hi, I'm Mabel. I never thought I'd have to defend my 6-year-old son from his own grandmother, but life has a way of surprising you with the battles you need to fight. Daniel, honey, did you have fun at Grandma Ellen's today? I asked, noticing his unusual quietness in the back seat as we drove home from my mother-in-law's Sunday dinner. Daniel fidgeted with his seatbelt. Not really. What happened, sweetie? You can tell me anything. He looked out the window, his little voice barely audible. I spilled my juice. That happens to everyone. Did Grandma get upset? She said I was careless. Daniel's voice cracked. She made me eat my dinner on the floor while everyone else ate at the table. She said that's where messy boys belong. I gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. She made you eat on the floor while everyone else was at the table? Yes. And then she kept saying how Brett never spills anything and how he's so perfect. Brett was my sister-in-law Lisa's husband, Ellen's golden son-in-law who could apparently do no wrong. Did Uncle Jack see this? I asked, referring to my husband. He was helping Grandpa in the garage. Aunt Lisa laughed a little, but she didn't say anything. And what did Brett do? He tried to give me his napkin, but Grandma Ellen said not to bother because I'd just make more mess. That night, after tucking Daniel in with extra stories and reassurance, I confronted Jack in our bedroom. Your mother made our son eat off the floor today, I said, keeping my voice low but firm. Jack looked up from his book, brow furrowed. What? No way. Mom wouldn't do that. Daniel told me everything. She humiliated him for spilling juice, Jack. Made him eat on the floor like an animal while she praised Brett the whole time. Maybe there's some misunderstanding? Daniel might have... Don't you dare suggest our son is lying, I cut in. Where were you when this happened? I was helping Dad with the lawnmower. Look, Mom can be old-fashioned about discipline, but this isn't discipline, Jack. This is cruelty and favoritism. Why is Brett treated like royalty while our son gets treated like this? Jack ran his hands through his hair. I'll talk to her, okay? Maybe she didn't realize how it would affect him. Oh, she knew exactly what she was doing, I replied. And I won't let anyone treat our son that way. Not even your mother. The next morning, I called my friend Rachel, who had dealt with her share of difficult in-laws. She made him eat on the floor? Rachel gasped. That's beyond inappropriate, Mabel. I know. Jack thinks I'm overreacting. You're not. If anyone treated my kids that way, I'd lose it. What are you going to do? I need to understand if this is part of a pattern, I said. This feels like the culmination of all the little comments and comparisons she's been making. Document everything, Rachel advised. And talk to Lisa. She was there, right? She might give you some insight into her mother's behavior. I doubt she'll stand up to Ellen. Nobody ever does. Then it's about time someone did, Rachel said firmly. Your son deserves better. As I hung up, a text from Lisa appeared. Hey, just checking on Daniel. Mom mentioned there was a little incident yesterday. A little incident. My blood boiled as I typed back. We need to talk. In person. Lisa agreed to meet me at a cafe downtown the next day. Her perfectly manicured nails tapped nervously on her coffee cup. I'm sorry about what happened with Daniel, she began. Mom can be traditional in her approach. Traditional? I echoed. Making a child eat off the floor isn't traditional. It's humiliating. Lisa winced. I know it sounds bad. It doesn't sound bad, Lisa. It is bad. And you sat there and let it happen. What was I supposed to do? She protested. You know how Mom gets when anyone challenges her? And that makes it okay? What if it had been your future child instead of mine? Lisa's eyes dropped to her coffee. Brett tried to help. One napkin isn't helping, I cut in. Standing up to Ellen would have been helping. Mom's always been particular about her house and her rules, Lisa said defensively. Daniel had already spilled twice that day. He's 6 years old. Kids spill things. That doesn't justify treating him like he's beneath everyone else while she praises Brett to high heaven. Lisa's voice lowered. You don't understand. Mom has always had favorites. When we were kids, it was Jack. Now it's Brett. And you're okay with that? With your mother playing these toxic games? It's just how she is, Mabel. We've all learned to deal with it. I shook my head. Well, I won't teach my son that it's okay to be treated that way. Ever. Later that afternoon, I drove to my father-in-law Tom's hardware store. Unlike Ellen, Tom had always been kind and fair with Daniel. Mabel, what a nice surprise, he greeted me. Looking for Jack? He's not here today. Actually, I wanted to talk to you, Tom, about what happened at Sunday dinner. His smile faded. Jack mentioned something about that. Ellen can be set in her ways. Did you know she made Daniel eat on the floor? Tom's eyes widened. No, I didn't. I was outside most of the evening. Would you have allowed it if you'd known? He hesitated. I've learned not to contradict Ellen in front of others. It never ends well. But at what cost, Tom? Daniel was devastated. Tom sighed heavily. Ellen had a difficult upbringing herself. Her father was very strict. That explains it, but it doesn't excuse it, I said. I need to know if you'll back me up when I confront her. Confronting Ellen directly rarely works, Mabel. So what do you suggest? Letting her continue to humiliate my son while everyone watches in silence? Tom looked troubled. Let me talk to her first. She might listen to me. And if she doesn't? Then I'll support whatever you feel is necessary to protect Daniel. That evening, Jack and I had another heated discussion. Dad thinks we should let him handle it, Jack argued. And how many times has that worked before? I countered. Your parents have this dynamic where he stays quiet and she does whatever she wants. You don't understand their relationship. I understand enough to know that no one stands up to your mother, and that's why she thinks she can treat our son this way, I insisted. We're going over there tomorrow and we're setting boundaries. Clear ones. What exactly are you planning to say? The truth, Jack. That what she did was wrong, and it will never happen again. And if she can't respect our son, we'll need to reconsider these weekly dinners. Jack paled. Mom won't take that well? I'm not asking for her approval. I'm telling her how it's going to be from now on. The next day, Jack and I arrived at Ellen and Tom's house unannounced. Ellen answered the door with a smile that quickly faded when she saw my expression. Well, this is a surprise, she said, letting us in. Tom's at the store. We came to talk to you, Mom, Jack said awkwardly. About Sunday, I added firmly. Ellen's face tightened. I assume this is about Daniel's little tantrum. Tantrum? I repeated. Is that what you call it when a child gets upset after being humiliated? I was teaching him manners, Mabel, something he clearly lacks. Jack stepped forward. Mom, making Daniel eat on the floor wasn't appropriate. Ellen waved a dismissive hand. When I was growing up, consequences had meaning. These days, everyone's so concerned about children's feelings that they forget about teaching respect. Respect goes both ways, I said. And what you did wasn't teaching, it was shaming. You're overreacting, Ellen scoffed. Brett was raised with proper discipline, and look how well he turned out. Always respectful, never making messes. Brett is 32 years old, not 6, I pointed out. And I don't care how perfect you think he is. You will never treat my son that way again. Ellen's eyes narrowed. This is my house. I set the rules here. And Daniel is my son, I countered. I decide how he's treated. So what are you saying? That I can't discipline my own grandson? There's a difference between discipline and cruelty, Jack interjected. Making him eat on the floor crossed that line, Mom. Ellen turned to Jack, her voice sharp. I'm disappointed in you, taking her side against your own mother. This isn't about sides, Jack replied. It's about what's right for Daniel. What's right is teaching him consequences, Ellen insisted. Brett's parents were strict with him, and he's a successful man now. If you can't see why what you did was wrong, I said, then we have a serious problem. The problem is your permissive parenting, Ellen snapped. You're raising him to be soft. No, I'm raising him to know his worth, I said, and to understand that no one has the right to humiliate him, not even his grandmother. So what now? Ellen demanded. You're going to keep him from me because I dared to discipline him? We're setting boundaries, I explained. If you want to be part of Daniel's life, you'll treat him with respect. No more comparisons to Brett. No more public humiliation. No more unreasonable standards for a 6-year-old. And if I don't agree to your terms, then we'll need to limit our visits, Jack said quietly. Daniel's well-being comes first. Ellen's face flushed with anger. You'd choose her rules over your own family traditions? Over me? I'm choosing my son, Jack replied firmly, and I'm asking you to respect that choice. As we were about to leave, Tom arrived home. Ellen immediately approached him, voice shaking. They're threatening to keep Daniel from us because I tried to teach him some manners. Tom looked between us all, then spoke carefully. Ellen, I talked to Mabel yesterday. Making the boy eat on the floor wasn't right. Ellen's mouth fell open in shock. You too? After all these years, you're turning against me? Nobody's against you, Tom said gently. But we need to consider how our actions affect others, especially the children. A week later, we met at a neutral location, a private room at a local restaurant, with Ellen, Tom, Lisa, and Brett. Daniel was with my parents for the evening. Thank you all for coming, I began. We needed to have this conversation as a family. Ellen sat stiffly, arms crossed. I still think this is an overreaction. It's not, Brett said, surprising everyone. Mrs. Walker, what happened to Daniel wasn't right. I should have spoken up. Ellen turned to him, betrayal written across her face. Brett, you of all people understand the importance of discipline. My parents were strict, yes, Brett acknowledged. But they never humiliated me in front of others. There's a difference. Lisa nodded. Mom, I've been thinking about this all week. If Brett and I have children someday, I wouldn't want them treated the way Daniel was. So everyone's against me now? Ellen's voice trembled. No one's against you, Tom said. We're trying to find a better way forward. Together. Jack reached for his mother's hand. Mom, we want Daniel to have a relationship with you, but it needs to be a healthy one. We've prepared something, I said, sliding a sheet of paper across the table. Family guidelines that we all agree to follow. Things like respect everyone regardless of age, no comparisons between family members, and discipline in private, never through humiliation. Ellen didn't touch the paper. So I'm supposed to sign some contract to see my grandson? It's not a contract, Jack explained. It's a commitment we're all making to treat each other better. I think it's reasonable, Brett offered. And honestly, I've never been comfortable with the comparisons either, Mrs. Walker. It puts pressure on everyone. Ellen looked at him in surprise. You never said anything. It was easier not to, Brett admitted. But that doesn't make it right. Tom spoke up. Ellen, we've been married 40 years. I love you dearly, but I've watched you drive wedges in this family with favorites and comparisons. Maybe it's time for a change. Ellen was quiet for a long moment, then reached for the paper with a shaking hand. I never meant to hurt Daniel. I just wanted him to be his best. We all want that, I said more gently. But shame doesn't make children better. It makes them smaller. I don't know if I can change overnight, Ellen admitted. We don't expect that, Jack assured her. We just need to know you're willing to try. 2 weeks later, Ellen invited us over. Just our family. She'd prepared Daniel's favorite meal and set the table with special plates for everyone. I have something to say, she announced when we were all seated. She turned to Daniel. I'm sorry for how I treated you, Daniel. It was wrong of me, and it won't happen again. Daniel looked up at her, then at me. I nodded encouragingly. It's okay, Grandma, he said simply. No, it's not okay, Ellen corrected herself. But I'm learning to do better. As we drove home that night, Daniel asked from the back seat, Is Grandma going to be nice now? She's trying, I answered honestly. People can change when they realize they've hurt someone they love. Even grown-ups? He asked. Especially grown-ups, Jack said. Sometimes we're the ones who need to learn the most. Later that night, I reflected on how standing firm on our boundaries had created space for change. Not overnight transformation, but the beginning of something healthier. Not just for Daniel, but for all of us. Have you ever had to stand up to family for your child's sake? It's never easy, but sometimes it's the only way forward.